Hi, I am Susanne Madsen. Thank you for tuning in. In this video, I will talk about emotional intelligence, why it matters to leadership, and what you can do to strengthen your emotional intelligence. It is true that emotional intelligence is one of the competencies, if not the biggest and most important competency to leaders. And I often say that it is the one thing that really distinguishes a manager from a leader. And this is backed up by research. So Daniel Goleman did a lot of research for his book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. And he found that 60% of all the competences that determines a person's success are emotionally related. However, when it comes to leadership, he found that the competences that are important rise up to 90%. So 90% of all the competences that are important for a leader are emotional competences. That definitely speaks volume. Okay, so what is emotional intelligence really? Well, there are some fancy definitions out there. My way of putting it is that emotional intelligence is your capacity to be aware of your own emotions, other people's emotions, and to use that knowledge to manage relationships appropriately and to build trust with people. We can break emotional intelligence down into 4 components. The first one is self-awareness. Do you notice what's going on for you? Do you notice your own emotions? Or are you just an autopilot? Because you can only notice other people's emotions if you understand emotions and can relate to your own. The second part of emotional intelligence is your ability to self-regulate. Okay, I feel my emotions. I feel anger right now. Well, what do you do with it? Do you show your anger at full force, or do you not show it, or something in between? The third component of emotional intelligence is social awareness or empathy. Now we shift the focus from your understanding of yourself and your emotions to your understanding of others and their emotions. So are you able to pick up and notice other people? What is their emotional state? Are you able to empathize with others, which means walking in other people's shoes? You cannot truly walk in other people's shoes, but you can build up the ability to imagine what it is like to be the other person. And the fourth competency of emotional intelligence is relationship management. So you're essentially using all of the previous aspects to build relationships of trust, to collaborate, to lead. What can you do to build your own competences? There are many, many ways to build your emotional competences. Attending leadership programs, reading books, having a coach, of course. But I want to give you some very tangible and specific examples right now. The first one is to build your self-awareness. Because if you are not aware, then you cannot change. Self-awareness means that you begin to notice more and more how you're feeling in any given moment. Are you feeling triggered right now by a team member who hasn't delivered the work they said they would deliver? Do you feel annoyed because you didn't get invited to a certain meeting? Self-awareness just means noticing and being aware. Doing 360 review feedbacks can also increase your self-awareness because it can help you understand if you have some blind spots. Blind spots means that you may have certain habits or patterns of behavior that you're not aware of. Maybe you tend to speak over people in meetings, but you're not aware of it. Asking for feedback can greatly help you with that. What else can you do to improve your emotional intelligence? Well, when it comes to self-management, I would say that noticing what is happening for you is step number 1, and then managing or regulating your emotions are obviously step number 2. Okay, I feel anger right now. Okay, I feel frustrated. How much of that do I show? And there is no size fits all. But the trick is to ask yourself the question, instead of being on autopilot and automatically lashing out at somebody, or automatically turning away, or automatically getting angry or upset, or whatever it is that happens when our emotions take over, you practice taking a deep breath, or counting to 10, or walking around the block, whatever works for you, but creating that pause, a little timeout, where you let the emotion run its course, and then you decide calmly and rationally, okay, I do feel angry about this. What's the most appropriate way to communicate that to the other person? That is a lifelong journey, lifelong lesson. We can practice this for decades, and we do get better over time. So it's definitely a big and very important practice. The third aspect is social awareness, empathy. How can you strengthen that muscle? Well, when I trained as a coach, I really, really learned to listen to others, to practice noticing what's going on for others, practice walking in the other person's shoes. You don't have to take a coaching course to learn to listen, although that is an option, but decide to show a greater interest in others. Decide to hold your tongue. Decide to listen twice as much as you speak. Decide not to interrupt others, but to listen with a view to really understanding what's going on for the other person. Giving others space, being curious about others. That's what it means to have social awareness. And it's beautiful when it happens. With that awareness, we can move to the last aspect of emotional intelligence, relationship management. Here we're putting it all together. You're building trust. You're noticing and aware of your own emotions. You're noticing and aware of what's going on for others. And you're using that to collaborate, to negotiate, and to have challenging conversations. Listen, we don't always agree with each other. In fact, we often don't agree to what the way forward is or how to resolve a problem. That's normal and that's healthy. We all have different points of views. So your practice in this last part of emotional intelligence is to embrace crucial conversations. When something gets challenging, we have a tendency to turn our back on it, to walk away from it because it's going to be unpleasant, to give feedback to somebody or to talk through our disagreements. But embracing challenging conversations is such an important aspect of emotional intelligence. You feel the discomfort and you have the conversation anyway. So the practice is to prepare for a conversation by thinking it through on your own first. What is the real problem that you believe is there in front of you? How might the other person see and perceive this problem? How are you feeling about it? How is the other person likely to feel about it? What would you like the outcome to be? And how would you like your working relationship with the other person to be afterwards? So preparing and reflecting, and with that knowledge, going in and having a conversation where you're not triggered. So don't have a challenging, crucial conversation when you are overly angry or some other emotion is triggered in you. Because when that happens, your emotional brain takes over and you're not able to collaborate properly. This is about calming down your own emotional responses, taking charge of your emotions. You can still express if you feel disappointed. That's fine, but you don't have to act out that disappointment. So prepare and have those challenging conversations in spite of the discomfort. Thank you so much for watching.